Hey everyone, welcome to the inaugural episode of Mac Talk. My name is Jacob Link, and today I had the opportunity to speak with UWO art professor Leslie Walfish, and I also had the pleasure of speaking to UWO senior Maddy Blaser. Let's get ready for a little small talk here on Mac Talk. Hey everyone, let's please give a very warm welcome to UWO art professor, curator, and director of galleries, Leslie Walfish. So thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me here.
So, not only are you an art professor, but, you also serve as the university's curator, as well as the director of the 3 art exhibits here on campus. So can you explain a little bit about what you do in those roles?
Yeah. So I run actually 2 art galleries on campus, the ones in the Arts and Communications Center. They are called the Allen Preby Gallery and the Annex Gallery. And I take care of the campus art collection, which has over close to 2,000 objects that date in range from like Renaissance era to contemporary times. In caring for that, I make sure I know where it all is and that we're getting to share it with the public and use it for research purposes. And then I teach a class each semester in art history.
Okay, awesome. How does Oshkosh get hold of some of those ancient art, like artifacts from the Renaissance period?
We are lucky that everything from our collection has been donated to us. So wonderful donors from the community who have collected over the years and are searching for a place to house their collection that they know it will be used for research, for student purposes, for some changing exhibitions, have decided to give to the university. And we promise that we will care for it for future generations and that it will get a chance to be used by UWO students.
And I guess kind of going off in a different direction, how did you kind of get your start in the art world?
I studied art history in undergrad at James Madison University, which is in Virginia. And I then got a master's degree in also art history, where I was at the University of Arizona in Tucson. So kind of went across the United States. Then I started working at I was actually teaching for a few years and then started working at a Wisconsin school in their university collections. It's at Lawrence University up in Appleton. And while I was there, I got to have a wonderful mentor who showed me that I think I wanted to be a director of university galleries. And so I went back to school where I got another master's degree in museum studies with Johns Hopkins University and have been working at Wisconsin universities since that time. So it's been quite a few years now, but a lot of really finding my passion.
What made you want to come to Wisconsin to pursue something like that, especially when, in college you already went across the country once?
The job. I followed really where I thought would be a good fit for me and something that would give me a lot of wonderful experience, like kind of a behind the scenes working in a museum or gallery and working with collections, and found a really good fit for me, starting with Lawrence and then kind of expanding on being directors at other UW schools, actually, before coming here. I was at UW Stevens Point and UW Green Bay as well.
So I guess, why art? Like, was that something growing up that you were always very passionate about, or what kind of pushed you in that direction?
Growing up in Northern Virginia, I was able to go on school field trips to museums, and the Smithsonian museums are free museums in Washington, D.C. And so at a really young age, I got to see and explore all the amazing treasures that are housed in those institutions. And I remember being like in 6th grade and memorizing the floor plan of the Natural History Museum so I could find the things I love the best, like the best fossils or the best gems, that sort of thing. So museums and galleries were something I grew up with and something I really loved. And having a kind of creative streak in me drove me to art history. Once I took my first art history class in college, I had never taken one before. I discovered there's a whole world of knowledge out there that connects us to history through visual culture. And I had some excellent teachers that helped me realize that this is something I wanted to pursue.
And I know, you kind of talked about you had an internship with the Smithsonian, and then you also, I believe, worked at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. What were those experiences like?
Terrific. Internships are a wonderful way to have experience in the field to kind of find where you want to be. I got to work with incredible curators and make kind of an impact on the world by putting these artworks out there for the public to see. So I always encourage students to take advantage of those opportunities because I benefited from them as well. And I realized okay, this kind of museum is going to do this kind of thing. This kind of museum is going to do this kind of thing. And that gives you an idea of what you want to do in your career path as well. So they were terrific.
And transitioning, as the semester winds down here, the School of Mac is going to be showcasing some of the exhibitions, 2 of them, in the first 2 weeks of May. What can you kind of tell us about those?
Yes, at the end of each semester in the Allen Prevey and sometimes the Annex Gallery, we exhibit graduating student work. In the spring, we get to exhibit both the BFA studio art exhibitions and the BFA graphic design exhibitions. So we have, starting on Thursday, I want to get the dates right, April 30th, we have the opening of our BFA studio art exhibition with 3 artists exhibiting. And in following week, or the week after that, on May 11th, we have the opening of the BFA graphic design exhibition where we have 13 students exhibiting. So it's free, it's open to all. We encourage everyone to come and celebrate the incredible work that our students are doing. And it's really a wonderful chance to see all the talent we have here at UWO.
Are there any requirements for the students to have their work shown, or is the only requirement to be a senior?
They have good faculty advisors that they meet with throughout the semester, that they have to show the work that they're doing, the progress that they're making, kind of discuss what they would like to do as their capstone, their end product. And they have to write artist statements. They have to fill out a bunch of forms that get them sort of ready for the end of the semester and this presentation of their work. And then they have to install the work themselves. After creating all the work in the studio, they have to install it in the gallery. And that includes lighting and labeling and doing all of this sort of manual labor of putting on an exhibition. So it's a really great opportunity for our students to get that hands-on skills of being a practicing artist in the field.
What does it kind of feel like for you? You've followed some of these students throughout their entire collegiate career. What does it mean for you to be able to see the hard work and to have the students showcase their talents?
I love that question. I often get students in my art history classes, so I'm seeing them kind of outside of their practicing or their practice. And this is my first chance sometimes to see what they've been doing in their last 4 years and how they've grown and how they've changed and the ideas that they're thinking about. It means everything to see all of their hard work presented out there in this professional way. We get to celebrate with them. We get to see their friends and the family coming out and celebrating with them all that they've achieved as their time here as students. So it's a wonderful opportunity.
Do you have any favorites that are going to be showcased in the coming weeks?
Well, every student is doing something different. So in our BFA studio art exhibition, we have Maddy Blaser, who I know you'll be speaking with. She's working on ceramics. We have Gabrielle, who is working on drawings. We have Henry, who is working on painting. So it's a wide variety of things. And then in our graphic design, even if they're working on similar projects, they're working in such different styles. So it's always a surprise and a joy to see what they're working on.
I guess how much hands-on do the staff members, have with the students? Because I know you talked about how they have advisors and such like that, but how much do the advisors help out the students? And of course, you already mentioned that the students are the ones that have to hang in them and do all that sort of jazz. But
yeah, the faculty advisors are selected by the students usually as people they've worked with and trust and kind of have shared some of their ideas with. The faculty advisors there are to be like a sounding board for the students, but it's really the students' vision that we want to have represented in the space. It needs to be true to them. And the students usually come up with an idea, and the advisors can guide or give suggestions or say, okay, you need to do this many times, or maybe scale back a little bit, or, I'm really curious about where this is going. Let's see how this happens. Kind of giving the student the freedom, but also the push that they might need in order to get it done before the end of the semester. In the graphic design exhibition, we have the graphic design professor, Karina Lake, who really guides the students in helping them select the finished products that they're going to put out there, really helps them with the overall design of the exhibition, and is very hands-on. In the studio art exhibition, we have a faculty member each semester that is assigned to the group that's graduating. In this semester, it's Professor Trina Smith, who is our painting professor, and she has been helping get everyone ready for this senior show on top of their, committees. So there is a lot of work that faculty is putting in, and then I, of course, help the students finish the end product with helping them, once their work is in the gallery space, to make sure that it shows to its best abilities. We work on lighting and labeling together, and kind of getting the space ready for that final opening that everyone will get to see their stuff.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much. So we're going to take a very short break here, but we're going to have a little calendar to spotlight all of the upcoming events in the School of Mac. And after that, we'll be bringing on our student guest from art. That'll be Maddy Blaser, so be sure to stay tuned. Oh, so I can talk. Welcome back to Mac Talk. We're joined by Maddy Blaser. She's a senior at UW Oshkosh, and she's a double major in human services and art. Maddy, it's great to have you here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So kind of tell us about your love for art and how you got your start in that area.
Wow. I started loving art when I was little. It started right away in elementary school and probably pre-K, whether it was crafting, drawing, painting, putting a bunch of erasers together and seeing what happens. That's what I did. And I did it all the way throughout high school. I loved it so much. It was, my biggest passion between also being an athlete and doing other things like playing the violin, but art was always something I went back to. It's something that's relaxing. It's something I can do on my free time. It's a great outlet for me to just get things out. And I actually came into college not seeking art. It was probably one of the hardest decisions I made. My senior year, poor mindset, terrible mindset on my part. I came in my senior year of high school thinking like, okay, I'm going to take the rest of my art classes that I'll ever do until I graduate college. And I was seeking a nursing degree, and I love the nursing program here, but I don't love nursing. It's not my passion. Art has always been one of my passions. So it was a really hard first year of college, but when I switched my degree to human services and even a studio minor before double majoring, I began to find my love again for art and realized, yeah, this is an outlet. This is something I enjoy doing. This is a hobby, but this is something that I get to express myself with. So yeah, it started off very young, and I tried abandoning it, but I realized how much that I still needed art. So
What was that like here at Oshkosh, like transitioning from a major such as nursing to then transitioning to be a double major, which includes art?
Well, having amazing advisors. So I'm part of the TRIO SSS program on campus for first-gen income eligible students, and they set me up for success immediately. I came in about a week before my sophomore year started, and I said, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't know what to do, but I'm really interested in helping people and doing art. They suggested, we talked a lot, but we talked about human services and doing a studio minor. And they looked at my transcripts, they looked at classes that I took my first year of college and even in high school, and they're like, oh, everything transfers over. You can't join the human services program until you're a third year, because I needed a specific amount of credits, but you can start your studio minor. So that was about a week before sophomore year started, and I got into all my classes. I mean, I even had a class with Professor Walfish right away either that first semester or second semester. So despite changing my degree my sophomore year and then changing it to a double major my junior year, I could still graduate within that 4-year span. So.
And I see that you're joined today by some of your ceramics that you've made. What made you, pursue that area of art versus something else as like painting or even graphic design?
I actually loved drawing in high school. That was my favorite. I did AP drawing, and I had a huge exam for that class and even to get those credits. So in high school, I hated ceramics. And I've shared that with Dr. Clifford, our ceramics professor here. I've told him straight up, and he goes, and that's okay. But then one of my friends suggested, take ceramics your second semester sophomore year. I did it, and I fell in love right away. And that was just hand building. That wasn't even like throwing on the wheel. So making vessels by throwing instead of hand building. And as I continued doing that and started throwing on the wheel about 1.5 years ago, I grew a passion for that. I said, wow, this is just such a fun outlet. I can make things and keep making things and learn so much from the clay, because you're going to mess up. And you're going to mess up on your good days. You're going to mess up on your hard days. It's not always going to be perfect. And I think that's even something I've learned about art is I can't seek perfectionism. If I do, I'm going to be sad by the end of the day. My art is going to stink. Up to my standard, it's going to stink. But also, I'm just not going to enjoy it anymore. So that's kind of how it involves ceramics. And I kept making. And I mean, these little guys, this one's tiny, but the other ones too, it all started, I started making them in September of 2025, specifically these pieces, and it just continued growing a love to making art like this.
How long does one of these pieces usually take to make?
Oh, that's a great question. When I think about this one, this is the first one I made ever. This probably it'll take about an hour to start. So that's wedging the clay, throwing the clay, waiting a little bit of time after throwing the physical vessel, and then pressing into it. All of these pieces are thrown on the wheel, but then they have a drying period, and then I take my hands and I press. But I press very specifically. I don't want these pieces to crack. I don't want them to concave onto themselves. I don't want there to be imperfections that lead to brokenness. I just want there to be a pressure within the piece. So that's the first step. And then these little ones would probably take maybe a few days of drying, lightly wrapping them, and then unwrapping them. My larger ones, and that's not even the largest one I have one that's 18 pounds, and that was good. Those can take up to weeks. I had a few pieces drying a week before spring break, and just recently got fired last week and the week first, so the first firing, a bisque firing. And then I think about glazing combinations, like trying to be thoughtful in what I do for glazing. And that'll take about maybe an hour to physically glaze it. But all these firing processes take different times. First firing is about a 3-day time, and then the second firing is about a day and a half.
And so for you, Leslie, what have you kind of seen as Maddy's progressed her career in the art program?
Well, I had Maddy in a survey class and so it's an art history survey class, and she was just so passionate, so excited to be there that it was a joy having her in class. But as I mentioned, I didn't get to really see her make art in that space. We have a few art projects in the class, but they're really, like a weekend project, not a month-long project like her ceramics are. So I did get to exhibit her work in most recently in our student honors exhibition, where she won an award for her ceramic pieces. So I've really seen her grow as an artist, find her voice as an artist, find what it is that she is really wanting to put out there in the world, and succeed at doing that. So it's really it's so fun to see how she's changed and continued to always be herself and in her artistic production.
And Maddy, you won an award for a piece?
I did, yes, for the 26th annual Student Honors Exhibition. It's a good mouthful that I memorized. I won the Jurors Award for 3D Studio Art. So this exhibition is an invite only by professors and faculty staff. Craig Clifford invited me into that show, and I won it for a piece called Clay Fragile Jars, and it actually holds about 5 of these in varying sizes and color combinations, and also different movements within it. So I was utterly shocked. I even told Professor Walfish that too. I was like, this is the last thing I expected out of my Thursday evening, but it truly is a blessing too.
And Leslie, you kind of talked in the first segment about displaying pieces of art. Maddy, what goes into where you place the art in the exhibition? Because it seems like there's a lot that kind of goes into that.
That is a great question. So we start setup on Monday morning on the 27th of April. I'm trying to think all the days backwards. And we've even met with Trina Smith, the professor that is leading this class, and my 2 other peers, talking about the space. How do we have solo senior exhibitions in a group shared space? And I'm planning on putting most of my pieces on pedestals. So it's trying to think how do I want them to differ in heights? What do I want to be a focal point? If you come to the show, you'll recognize that there's an immediate focal point when you walk in. It's very intentional, purposeful, and I won't spoil all the fun details, but you should come and see it. However, there's thinking do I want a certain piece to have more of a focal point, a certain piece to be more present? I want all my pieces to be very present. I don't want one to be hidden behind, because they all hold great meaning to just different things I've walked through. So it's a longer process that I think I'm going to run into Monday morning.
As you look back in your college career, what takeaways do you have from being involved in the art program?
Wow. I think that's a really great question. I've learned a lot from my professors. My professors haven't held me back. They've given me the space and cultivated the space for me to grow and to pursue art, to find myself. I'm always positively challenged by my professors and questioned, why do you make the work that you do? What inspires? A lot of my artwork is made based on my own spiritual journey, and my professors have walked right alongside me in that and said, how do you make it your own? And that is what art is. You're making it your own. You're expressing yourself. You're sharing who you are, and that's what I'm sharing through this. So the art department at UW-Oshkosh is really good at cultivating that space for students, and encouraging students to be willing to share the uncomfortable.
And last question for you. You're a senior, so you're about to graduate. What comes next?
Yep. Just a few more days until graduation. I am planning on interning with Crew. Crew is a campus ministry at UW-Oshkosh. It's also located global-wide, so not only across the states here, but also all over the world. So I'll intern in Oshkosh with the movement here. It also partners with Green Bay's movement. I'm excited because I still get to be on a college campus without being a college student. So can't get rid of the college in me yet. But yeah, I'm planning on doing that for the next year here, and I'm super excited for where the wind will take me after that too.
Well, awesome. Thank you, Maddy. Thank you, Leslie, for joining us in this episode. It was kind of great to learn more about the art discipline in the School of Mac. And of course, be sure to head out to check in the Studio Art and Graphic Design Senior Exhibitions at the Allen Priebe Gallery from April 30th to May 7th and May 11th through the 14th. So thanks for joining us. I'm Jacob Link, and this has been Mac Talk.